What is going on? What in the world is going on with Rob Carson? All right, we're going to try this again, see if this is the video is matching the how my mouth works. All right. Glad to have you with me, guys. I do appreciate you joining me tonight. The reason why I'm trying this is we're getting ready to go back on live. I've been broadcast for a couple of networks, and we're going to try this real quick and see if it works. I'm going to watch, and then we're going to change the possibility of this actually being on time. Here we go. How my mouth works. All right. Glad to have you with me, guys. Okay, it's working. Yay. Okay, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Changed a little setting, and I've already got a like. Yay, Rob. Yay, Rob. Rob kicks butt. Okay, so anyway, let's start the show here, guys. Let's have a little bit of fun tonight because it's Friday. And you're not working, and I'm not working. Well, you may be working. If you're working and you're watching the show, and maybe you are working with some heavy equipment, you probably might want to stop. Yes, might want to stop. Anyway, I'm hanging out with you, and we're going to be together for a little while because I got a ton of stuff to get to. Politics, pop culture, comedy, and more. Carol Davis is joining me. Carol, sorry for the technical difficulties earlier. Do appreciate it. Hey, I'm having cheap Chardonnay. Woo-hoo-hoo! Cheap Chardonnay is really awesome. And by the way, it's a Franzia out of a box, and I hear it was a very good week. Yeah. Okay. Cheers to being Friday. Okay, so a lot of stuff going on in the world. We're going to get to all of it here very shortly, and I'm going to share you video, and we're just going to have fun. Andrew Barry, thank you for joining me tonight. Politics, pop culture, comedy, all sorts of crap, and we'll get to it as the show progresses. Keep the comments coming, and share with others, will you? Share with others. All right. So the big news, I guess, of the day is that Donald Trump decided not to bomb Iran. Okay, he decided that he wasn't going to bomb Iran. There were a lot of people who said that he was going to do it. He decided not to. Some people are disappointed. I don't think, if you decide to, well, there's no reason to bomb a country that knocks one of your drones out of the sky. It does not require an ad hominem response. You can knock one of their drones out. I think their drones are powered by rubber bands. That said, Donald Trump, yesterday, he said, hey, man, this is kind of a big deal. Here's what he said yesterday about this.
Iran made a big mistake. This drone was in international waters. Clearly, we have it all documented. It's documented scientifically, not just words. Yeah, and they made a very bad mistake.
How will you respond, Mr. President? How will you respond?
You'll find out.
Are you willing to start a war with Iran?
You'll find out.
Okay, so he said you'll find out how we're going to respond. This is interesting. Did you watch this as it happened? I mean, when you saw the what happened with the oil tankers in the Persian Gulf, in the Strait of Hormuz. Did you want to kick Iran's ass? I kind of did want to kick Iran's ass. I really did. And then they shot one of our drones out of the sky. This is a $150 million drone. And I think that the president made a good decision because it's a piece of equipment. Was it worth taking out some radar facilities? Sure, if they were unmanned. All right. But he asked his generals, and they said 150 people are going to die. And he said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. And I think that was brilliant. $150 million drone, 150 people, $1 million a life. And they're following orders. So I didn't think it was a bad thing. Here is Trevor Noah. Let's see if I can find this. Trevor Noah on Comedy Central. And you know what? He's a pretty funny guy. A little misguided. I can laugh along with this guy. I can laugh along with him. Somebody who's written political satire for a very long time for Rush Limbaugh and others. I can appreciate it. Although, and I'm not saying when you do political satire, you stretch the truth to some degree. I should say not stretch, exaggerate. But the problem with late night TV and stuff is that they are built on lies frequently. That's the problem. Trevor Noah can be very funny at times. There is a very small grain of truth in what he says. In everything that I wrote for Rush and other people, there was not more than a grain of truth. It was truthful. But here's Trevor Noah talking about last night about Donald Trump, the possibility, because everybody was convinced he was gonna do something extreme. He was gonna go off the rails and he was gonna start bombing people. Here's Trevor Noah on Comedy Central.
That violates them will not return and will be destroyed.
Oh man, shit is getting heated. And once again, both sides have their stories. Iran says they shot down the drone because it was flying over their country.
Yes.
But America says it wasn't flying over Iran. It was just flying very, very close. Yeah, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Mom, Iran hit me! Now, I get where America's coming from. Because you see, here's a map of the region, okay? And this is the border of Iran. The U.S. says the drone was flying here in international airspace. And if that's true, then that's clearly an act of aggression by Iran. Although, just for context, the border of the United States is over here. Just gives it a bit more perspective. And by the way, I think it's funny how the media is showing all those pictures of the drone and talking about its history and how precious it was. It's almost like America has to do something because the drone left behind an entire drone family. Now that family is unmanned.
Yes,
it's a drone, guys. It's a drone. You don't have to go to war over a drone. And before you accuse me of being anti-American, the commander-in-chief basically said the same thing today in a press conference. Yeah.
Yes,
and you know what? I agree with Trump. Yeah, I said it. I don't think America should launch a full-out war to avenge a flying Roomba. All right? So let's move on to some domestic news.
Okay, that was nice. And that is basically what the president said. Here is the president saying it.
And I think probably Iran made a mistake. I would imagine it was a general or somebody that made a mistake in shooting that drone down. It was over international waters, clearly over international waters, but we didn't have a man or woman in the drone. We had nobody in the drone.
Are you still open?
It would have made a big difference. Let me tell you, it would have made a big, big difference.
And it would have made a big difference. This was not the death of Americans. Iran has done that before. And so basically the president said none of this was green-lighted. And, let's move on. Now, if American lives were lost, kick their asses, right? Kick their asses. Nothing was green-lighted, president said. Now, here's the thing. The president showed a measured response to an American drone being shut down. And I commend him for that. Can he show a measured response with regard to his tweets? Can he just one time just calm down, think about it before you send it? just think about it before you send it, Mr. President. Because sometimes, and listen, I support the guy. I think he's doing a great job. I think he's doing a great job. But I just get so tired of the tweets. Listen, it's odd because Donald Trump tweets like a drunk person, and he doesn't drink. Donald Trump tweets like a drunk person. That's the problem, and that's the thing that really bothers me about him. Let's move on. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, tweeted about the detention facilities on our border, which could always be better, by the way. Could always be better. Tweeted that they were essentially concentration camps. This administration has established concentration camps on the southern border of the United States for immigrants, where they are being brutalized with dehumanizing conditions and dying. That is not hyperbole. It is the conclusion of expert analysis. Honey, where do you suppose these people came from? Do you suppose they were escaping brutalization and dehumanizing conditions? As far as them dying, they're dying from things they already had when they arrived here. They're coming from countries where there's no immunizations, where diseases that you and I have never had to deal with have been we've eradicated them. They haven't, like tuberculosis, and they're coming here, and it was an idiotic comparison. And I don't know what it is about Democrats. I don't know what it is about Democrats comparing not only Trump to Hitler, but now it's also these detention centers where illegal aliens are kept until they can go through court proceedings. Those aren't concentration camps. They aren't concentration camps. That's not what they are. No. You may want to believe that they are concentration. They're not. They're not concentration camps. They're places where people are put until they can be processed. And if I had my druthers, they'd be sent back to their countries because you have to go through a process. That's it. Hi, Dave Campbell in Chicago. How you doing, my brother? Good to see you. AOC, however, is completely, because she is completely clueless. This woman, honestly, listen, and I'm not trying to be divisive and all that, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is an ignoramus. She's a very young person. Listen, I have nothing against age because, honestly, age has kept me out of broadcasting to some degree. Because I'm in my early 50s and now, people don't want to look at me. And look at all the hearts coming up. Look at all the emojis. Thank you. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and listen, people can be wise beyond their years. I mean, you look at people like Ben Shapiro, wise beyond his years. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, 29 years old, not a lot of life behind her. And she is an ignoramus. She is not familiar with history. Dave Campbell, what's up, bro? Things are good, brother. I'm might be auditioning at a radio station in Chicago. Wouldn't that be cool? My niece, Amy, is joining me. Hello, Amy. How are you? Amy just discovered as my biological niece last year. And I'm so proud to have you as my niece. It's awesome. Okay. So, anyway, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is completely defending the concentration camps thing. This kind of reminds me of Hogan's Heroes. You remember Hogan's Heroes? You guys are Generation Xers like me, or baby boomers. Hogan's Heroes, literally 20 years after the end of World War II, decided that the prisoner of war camps in Germany were funny. Maybe this is what AOC is thinking. She's so separated from history that she thinks that concentration camps exist in this country. The only concentration camps to ever exist in this country, just real quick, were when FDR, a Democrat, put Japanese people in concentration camps. Now think about this. I wasn't alive. You weren't alive. Most people weren't alive. Some of you maybe were. But FDR decided because people they were Japanese, needed to be in concentration camps. Why didn't that happen with Germans and Italians? Think about that for a second. You want to talk about, I don't want to make this all racial, but But the only concentration camps in the history of our country, and it wasn't because they were being starved, and it wasn't because my microphone, I need Viagra for the microphone. It wasn't because they were, gosh darn it. It was because they were Asian. It was because they were Japanese. That's what happened. During World War II, people decided for some reason, and this is a very racist policy. It was a very racist policy, and it's just coming to light for most people. Because people were not Caucasoids in World War II, that they would be put in concentration camps in the desert. Can you imagine people like George Takei? I had mentioned George Takei earlier. George Takei said that he was put in concentration camps when he was 5 years old during World War II, and he was, and it sucked, and it was terrible. They got moved out of their homes, and they got moved into concentration camps where they couldn't pursue. Imagine this. You can't pursue your living, your way of life, your home. You can't live in your home. And I don't blame him for feeling that way. But the only people in this country who have ever done concentration camps, it was one Democrat, and his name was Theodore Roosevelt. And he didn't do it to Germans, and he didn't do it to Italians. The axis of evil, only one, and that was the Japanese. So there you go. As far as AOC comparing Donald Trump putting illegal people into some sort of, they have to be put in some sort of facility until they can be processed, allowed to stay or removed. There's nothing wrong with that because you're here illegally. Any other country would do that. Here is AOC. I like to call her idiota, talking about it.
First of all, I'm absolutely comfortable using that term because it is rooted in our academic definition. Oftentimes when people, when the term concentration camp is evoked, what people think of are extermination camps. They think of Auschwitz. Yeah. And I think what we need to realize is that one of the biggest lessons that we learn from both Holocaust historians, civil rights academics and experts is that it takes a process, a slow, gradual process of increasingly dehumanizing steps. And once you have convinced an electorate or once you have convinced a community that a certain group of people are bad or less than, it justifies and it allows people to feel more comfortable with the dehumanization.
Usually, unless you have some sort of a mental disorder, you get smarter with age. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Hello, Linda Rhodes. How are you? Hi, Rob. Long time. Haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you again. Hey, hon. Good to see you too. No. Honestly, when we do things like this and we allow history to be cheapened and comparisons to be made, George Bush is Hitler. Donald Trump is Hitler. The places, the detention centers along the border are concentration camps. These are the things that cheapen history. They do. And it's ridiculous. And it's to call everybody racist and everybody sexist and everybody homophobic and everybody Islamophobic when you disagree with them. It cheapens the charge. Calling somebody a racist because you disagree with them. And it happens a lot of the times. I've been called a racist because I say there's a crisis in the black community. It's fairly obvious there is one. That said, suddenly I'm a racist. That's BS. It's just meant to silence the opposition. Let's talk about Casey Bartholomew. Let's see this guy. He's a congressman from Texas, and he says that Ocasio-Cortez basically said what she said because she didn't, and she has a different usage of words. Let me see if I can find this real quick here, guys. I run my own show, so possibly I may not have it. Hold on. Bartholomew. It's a live show. Things happen. Quaylar. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can find it. Casey, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Okay. Oh, here it is. Here. So this is a representative from the state of Texas saying that the reason why Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying that detention centers along the border for illegal aliens are comparable to concentration camps is because she has a different perception of words. Here we go.
Well, again, without due respect to her, she has a different usage of words and certain maybe a different perception. I live in the... I've been to those detention centers. I've been to those shelters, as you know. If they're adults, they're in detention centers. But if they're children, they are put in shelters that are run by nonprofits. I would not use the terms that she used and imply anything else after that.
Okay, there you go. So he wouldn't use that, but she did. So they're not concentration camps is what I'm trying to say. They are not concentration camps. Thank you very much. All right, let me try to remove this from my page here real quick, and then we'll move on to other stuff. Okay. Yeah. Not concentration camps. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to some other stuff here. This microphone is giving me fits. Here's what I'm going to do. There we go. I'm going to do this. There we go. Hi, Carol Davis. This microphone is giving me fits tonight. I don't know exactly what the problem is, but here we go. It's fixed. All right, let's move on to other stuff. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders says that his brand of socialism is going to work and it will defeat Donald Trump. Guys, let's just be honest here with regard to the election in 2020. And I don't know where you are politically. Maybe you agree with me politically. Maybe you don't. I don't care. It doesn't bother me one little bit what you agree with. But I want to ask you this question. Donald Trump has done a pretty good job with regard to the economy of the country, with regard to a lot of things, foreign policy and whatnot, and the border. Now we're working on the border. Things are pretty good for a lot of people. Hispanic unemployment at an all-time low, African-American unemployment at an all-time low. What are the Democrats going to run on? I'm just going to ask you the question. Because what else is going to happen? I mean, how can the Democrat Party make things better than they are right now? Because things are pretty good. GDP growth above 3% for the first time in a while, which is pretty cool. Like I said, African-American unemployment, all-time low. Hispanic unemployment, all-time low. Asian unemployment, all-time low. More women in the workforce. Manufacturing returning to the United States. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff. So how is a pathway to socialism going to work? Here is Bernie Sanders talking about how socialism, I don't get it. And this guy's a stinky old mothball-smelling academic who never made it in the private sector, got into a liberal mayoral candidacy, which he won, moved up to senator, and really has done nothing in his life but tell people how to live theirs.
We have a demagogue in the White House
blah, blah.
who, for cheap political gain, is attempting to deflect the attention of the American people away from the real crises that we face, and instead is doing what demagogues always do, and that is to divide people up and legislate hatred. It is my very strong belief that the United States must reject that path of hatred and divisiveness and instead find the moral conviction to choose a different path, a higher path, a path of compassion, justice, and love. And that is the path that I call democratic socialism. I do understand that I and other progressives...
Okay. Here's the problem. Socialism has existed for a very long time. I'm going to explain this real quick. Because if you continue to use socialism as a positive, Where has the term socialist and the socialist model existed before? Where have you heard it? United Soviet Socialist Republic. USSR. United Soviet Socialist Republic. USSR. We saw what happened with the USSR. 60 million people exterminated under Stalin. United Soviet Socialist Republic. Okay? National Socialist German Workers' Party. National Soviet Socialist German Workers' Party. National German Socialist Workers' Party. What is that? Nazis. Now, any other party, any other movement, you would think that they would change the vernacular. But really, when you think about it, they're still using socialist. I mean, if you like, hey, listen, and Bernie Sanders says that this is a Democrat socialist. Why doesn't he say that we're Democrat Nazis? Why not? You could say Democrat Socialist, United Soviet Socialist Republic. You keep the socialist, you call it democratic. You got the German Socialist Worker Party. Socialist in there. Why don't you call yourself Democrat Nazis? Do you understand how insidious this is and how ridiculous this is? That people are still clinging to socialism as a cure for society's ills, when between the two countries that I talk about, 70, 80 million people killed. Honestly, explain that to me. Tim Shipley has joined. Hello, Tim. How are you? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you joining me tonight. Let's see what else we got here. We are obviously focusing a little bit on politics right now, but there are some other things to talk about. This is New York and California. High tax states exodus is just beginning. Douglas Elliman, real estate's Noble Black, says the cap on local tax deductions, SALT, already begun to drive some residents away from high tax states. And here's the thing: we've been kind of propping up the high tax states so you could write off your state income tax nationally. And Donald Trump said that there's a $10,000 cap on state and local tax deductions, which means that people who live in New York and all these other countries, and this, I don't want to make this too heavy and too weird, but you can't write it all off. And you and I, as people who don't live in these states, don't have to cover it anymore. And so people are saying, bye-bye. And they're leaving these states. And it's going to get worse. They're going to Florida, Texas, Nevada. If you live there, it's Nevada. If you go and you do a radio show like at KFYI in Vegas, not KFYI. It's what I'm trying to remember the station I've been out there. But basically, if you say Nevada, you don't live there. You don't live there. So basically, people are leaving. They're saying, we're out of here. And I don't blame them. Here's the problem with people who are Democrats, high-tax people. They vote for politicians who suck the lifeblood out of a state, then they move on to another one, and then they vote for more lifeblood-sucking Democrats. And they're like the aliens from Independence Day. They are like the aliens from Independence Day. They move on, and they drain a planet, and they move on again. That's what it's all about. Could you go ahead and give me some likes, some loves? Who's watching? Go ahead and give me some likes and loves. I'd love to see you here as we continue the the broadcast program this evening. Here's something I want to play. My son went to college last year. He's a freshman in college. And hello, Lydia Tao. How are you, my dear? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. If you're going to exist on campus, you should be able to express yourself. In college, I don't know why it is as a metaphor for college. It should be a metaphor for life. Look at all the hearts and loves. Thank you. God bless you guys. You guys are so awesome. I love it. I love it. But if you're on campus, you should be able to share your opinion, whether it be conservative or liberal or whatever. But unfortunately, conservative voices are being silenced on campus. I speak from a position of truth on this because I was involved with a terrific broadcast operation on Facebook where we had 30 pages, 19 million followers, and they were a libertarian. I'm a libertarian, guys, okay? So let me just explain. Small government, strong military, strong borders. I don't care if you want to get gay, get married and you're gay. I don't care. If a state decides they want to make pot legal, I don't care. Okay? I'm a libertarian. But at the same time, I was a part of 30 Facebook pages, 19 million followers. And on October the 11th of last year, we had our platform destroyed. Facebook unlisted us. The gentleman who put my network together spent $250,000 to create, to join, to bring in 19 million followers. And all of those people, we just suddenly disappeared. And it stinks. And it really stinks. Tonight I'm doing a podcast. And right now I'm not a big deal. I hope to be. And when I become that big deal, I'm sure Facebook will look at me and go, well, he espouses libertarian or conservative views, and we got to take him down. And it bugs me. It bugs me. But it's one of the slings and arrows I have to suffer. This is a guy on campus. Students for Life America set up a display of pink crosses on the campus of Whatcom Community College in Bellingham, Washington. Washington's a very diverse state. Here is this doofus stealing these crosses, and then when somebody comes in with a position of authority, he immediately backs down. Here's a little bit of the footage.
Can you leave those alone, please?
Nope.
Those are ours.
Nope.
Yeah, we have permission to be here.
We have permission to be here.
You're like a broken record, aren't you?
You can't take those away.
I disagree.
I disagree.
That's illegal.
Oh, it's illegal.
Here we go. This is not uncommon.
Hey, do you guys have a campus police number?
Okay, let's move on a little bit further.
Did somebody go get?
We're happy to talk with you.
I'm not. Are you guys not listening? I'm not happy to talk to you guys.
Well, you can't be pulling these out because this is private property and we reserve this space.
I thought you believed in free speech.
Okay, no more. This is a free speech area.
You know what? You can stop.
Hey. Dude, give those back.
Hey.
Just being a douche.
Give us back our property.
Just being a douche.
Give us back our property.
Now he goes inside. Watch. A person, like an adult, decides to join in here, and this kid backs down immediately.
Yeah.
Here he goes. Yeah, go put him back. You have no right to take those down. Go put them back.
Same access everybody else has.
Thank you very much. And he's putting him back. You know why? Because he's a child. He's a child. And he just got corrected by an adult. This is happening all over the country, guys. State of Texas just basically made it illegal for you to censor one side of the political argument. You know, I kind of worry about my son. He goes to University of Kansas. He had a good year. He's not terribly political. I don't know if he agrees or disagrees with me. He likes to pimp me about writing for Rush Limbaugh, among other things, and it's kind of funny. But I worry about free speech on campus. I do. Hi, Hugh. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining. Marty Lawrence, thank you so much for joining me tonight. A lot of stuff to get to before the show ends. And for those of you who are just joining me, this is the first time I've done the show live in a while. I work for Range Broadcasting. My show is there, and I love doing it there. But I'm doing a lot of different things, hoping for a talk show with regard to radio. Hopefully that'll work out. All right, I'm going to remove this right here. All right. Let's move on to some other stuff. Oh, this is kind of funny. Check this out, guys. So there's a statue, University of Oregon. And students and faculty are demanding removal of the American Pioneer statue on its 100th anniversary. The statue depicts a pioneer standing on a rock with a rifle slung over its shoulder and a whip in its right hand, which, some people kind of enjoy. No suspects were identified, but the statue was vandalized in April. A lot of students feel oppressed by the statue. The statue was created and installed by Alexander Phimister Proctor. Designed the statue, installed in the university in 1919, aimed to celebrate the achievements of pioneers. University of Oregon Native American Student Association, NASU, protested for the removal of the statue in May of the 100th anniversary of the statue's installation. Brett Gilbert, the co-leader of NASU, organized protests to get rid of the statue. A lot of students feel oppressed by the statue. I know when I walk under it, I feel very inferior. Dear God in heaven, really? 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 I don't feel that way when I'm at other places on campus. I don't think that's what the university community wants us to feel like when we're here. Dear God in heaven. My children are not snowflakes. NASU member Ryan Reed suggested that the rifle slung over the pioneer's shoulder made him feel uncomfortable. That guy was there. He used the rifle to eat. Okay? He used the rifle to eat, and he probably also used it to defend himself from people who were going to attack him. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it was a threat. And honestly, 200 years later, get over yourself. A lot of people think a pioneer is a frontiersman, an explorer. For us, it's a totally different definition. That feeling comes from what he's carrying on his shoulder and what he's carrying on his belt. Those who refuse to acknowledge history are doomed to repeat it. All right. Interesting story. How do you feel about transgendered athletes competing against others? Now, you got kids who are born as girls competing with boys. And they generally get their asses handed to them. They do. That's just the way it is. If somebody is transgendered, I hope they get help. Ben Shapiro talks about transgenderism and how you can't physically change you from the DNA up from female to male to male to female. That's just the way it is. And it is. And sorry. I'm sorry. Chaz Bono. Sorry. If you're born with a vagina, you have certain chromosomes that make you a woman. And removing your ovaries and all that doesn't change things. And taking hormones to grow facial hair doesn't change things. And it sucks, and I'm sorry. Bruce Jenner, you were born a man. And you had your penis removed, and you had breast implants. And if you want to identify as a woman, that's fine, but you're not. It's not possible. There are some species of animal that can spontaneously change their gender, and it happens. It unfortunately doesn't happen with people. But if I had a daughter in college athletics, and I saw that she had to compete with someone who was born a biological male and absolutely destroyed her in a sport, I would be a little concerned about it, and I'd be a little ticked about it. 3 Connecticut girls who have run high school track have filed a federal discrimination complaint saying a statewide policy on transgender athletes has cost them top finishes in races and scholarships. How does that happen? To me, this is very troubling because there are girls who bust their butts, completely for decades to get where they are. And Title IX was originally created, I should say, to prevent discrimination with regard to sex in sports. It was originally created because girls' sports were not being funded very well. That's really what it was. And so men's sports, they made some changes, and it ultimately became much more than that. And it became this whole sexism thing on campus, and it's quite honestly not true. The complaint filed Monday with the U.S. Education Department's Office for Civil Rights was submitted by a conservative Christian law firm Alliance, the Alliance defending freedom on behalf of the girls. And it's not fair. Girls deserve to compete on a level playing field, according to Christiana Wolcombe, legal counsel for this organization. Women fought long and hard to learn the equal athletic opportunities that Title IX provides, allowing boys to compete in girls' sports reverses nearly 50 years of advances for women under this law. We shouldn't force these young women to be spectators in their own sports, and that's what's happening. And it's not fair. It's not fair. Your daughter will never win a bench press competition against someone who was born a man or born a child, a boy, a male. Your daughter will never win against that, and it's not fair. It's just not fair. Let's move on to a couple of cute things, because I'm going to wrap things up here. Okay? I'm going to wrap things up here. Let me see where I want to go. Hold on. Oh, this is funny. Before I go, I want to share a couple of funny things. I feel sorry for this dog. Cocker Spaniel named Peter gets so excited when he sees ducks or, birds of any kind that he literally passes out. I think it's kind of cruel for these parents, these dog parents. And I'm a dog. I call myself a dog parent. These dog parents to do this to their dog. Let me get rid of this statue. Hold on one second. Yeah, goodbye. There you go. Bye-bye. This dog has... If your dog got so excited they passed out, would you do this to your dog? Would you do this? Here is the video of Peter, who gets so excited watching birds that he passes out, and the owners who are fine with it. Here he goes.
Come on, James.
Here we go.
Oh, nearly. He's thinking about it.
Here he goes. Here it is.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh, he's out.
Oh, my goodness.
He's out for the count. He's out for the count. Honestly, I had a couple friends in college who were like that. It wasn't about ducks. Finally, I want to share a video with you. Oh, this is unreal. This is unreal. Now, for those of you who are foodies like me, we enjoy a lot of different food. I like sushi. I like raw fish. I have no problem with it. But are you prepared to have your sushi this rare? Okay, this is out of I believe it's out of Japan. These are mussels. Now imagine if you had this served to you while you're sitting at a restaurant. Would you say, okay, go ahead and prepare it? Check this out. This is wrong. This is just wrong. No.